My cousin asked me to pretend to be his wife just to show up his ex-girlfriend. I played the part of his sweet, pregnant new bride, only to find out that his ex's date was my longtime crush. My crush stared at my belly, lost in thought. After a moment, he spoke. "Whatever he's paying you, I'll double it." Me, 2 steak dinners. Deal. My cousin, Leo, had been single for 6 months when he found out his ex, Chloe, was seeing someone new. Fueled by jealousy and spite, he went on a tirade in their group chat. "My new girlfriend is way sweeter and more thoughtful than Chloe. What guy could even put up with her?" Of course, some pot-stirring friend screenshotted it and sent it to Chloe. They both unblocked each other and immediately got into an all-out flame war online. But that wasn't enough. They decided to take it offline, agreeing to meet up and bring their new partners for a showdown. Only after running his mouth did my cousin start to panic. He'd basically been living like a monk since the breakup. Where was he going to find a new girlfriend? In a moment of desperation, he thought of me, his dear cousin. At first, I wanted nothing to do with his childish games. But he wouldn't let up, showing up every day to throw a full-on pity party, crying, begging, the works. For the sake of all the times he took the fall for me when we were kids. I agreed. My payment was a meal at my favorite Japanese barbecue joint. "Stella, is that what you're wearing? How are you supposed to compete with my ex in that?" Leo frowned the moment he got out of the car to pick me up. Dressed in a designer suit, with his tall frame leaning against a luxury car. He really was giving off those power CEO vibes. I looked down at myself. A tailored white dress. The off-the-shoulder neckline was elegant, and the hem swayed gently when I walked. A pair of 1-inch lambskin block heels. This was the most elegant, beautiful, and sophisticated I could possibly look. "Well, you're the one who told them I was your sweet, pregnant wife." I snapped back, getting into the car and buckling my seatbelt. "You didn't exactly give me a lot of room to work with." He slapped his forehead in a moment of realization. "I totally forgot about that. Stella, you're always so on top of things." I rolled my eyes at him. "So, you remember the story you cooked up, right? Something about meeting the love of your life at the grocery store, falling in love at first sight, getting married in 4 months, and pregnant in 5. What a ridiculously cheesy plot." He fell silent for a beat. Got it. "I'll play the part of the doting husband and take good care of you," Leo said, hitting the gas. Those 2 psychos had to pick a fancy restaurant downtown for their little showdown. And right during rush hour. In a city like Boston, the traffic is always a nightmare. The second you get on the freeway, you're at a standstill. After more than half an hour, we'd only moved about a mile. I yawned. Staring at the long line of backed-up cars ahead just made me sleepier. Whatever. Leo was driving. I might as well take a nap. "Leo, are you messing with me? I bet there's no sweet little wife. You're too scared to show up, aren't you?" I groggily heard a pleasant female voice. I opened my eyes. My cousin was gritting his teeth, scowling into his phone. "Chloe, what are you talking about?" His ex had hit the nail on the head, and he was overcompensating out of guilt. "We're just stuck in traffic." "What about you? Did you just hire a fake date?" They were clearly not on the same page. The call ended with an abrupt click from the other end. Leo was so mad he was practically chewing on his teeth. I'd seen enough of the drama. "You're obviously not over her," I said curiously. "Why not just try to get back together instead of pulling these stupid tricks?" Leo's jaw tightened. "Stella, you don't get it. She's the one who broke up with me. Now, 6 months later, she finds a boyfriend and insists on meeting up. You think I'm going to let her one-up me? So childish." I was completely unimpressed. "That's what you get for putting on that whole playboy who treats life like a game act. You weren't thoughtful or attentive. It's no wonder she dumped you." Not to be outdone, Leo shot back, "Oh, and you're some expert on love?" 10 years of pining after a guy you still haven't had the guts to ask out. He hit a nerve. My anger level shot to max. That's it, I'm not going. As soon as we get off the freeway, I'm going straight home. Leo panicked and immediately backed down. No, I'm sorry. You're a loyal, devoted sweetheart. I shot him a death glare. He shrank back in his seat and sat up straight. Thankfully, the traffic jam ahead suddenly cleared up. We rushed and managed to get there just in time. After sitting in the car for so long. The moment I got out, my back and waist ached. It was so uncomfortable. Leo offered me his arm. We have to make it look convincing. Let's start now. I rolled my eyes, not bothering to answer him. As we stepped out of the elevator and into the restaurant, Leo instantly switched into character. He strutted around like a peacock fanning its tail, a smug look plastered on his face. So obnoxious. The hostess led us to our reserved private room. The moment I walked in, I saw a beautiful woman sitting directly across from the door. The sound of our footsteps made her look up. The next second, she stood and walked toward us. She wore a black slip dress under a white blazer. As she moved, you could see just how slim her waist was and how long her legs were. She had incredible style. Her long, wavy hair was swept over to her left shoulder, and a pearl necklace shimmered at her collarbone. A truly stunning woman. I couldn't believe Leo let her get away. His ex looked me over and politely gestured for me to sit down. I'm Chloe. Leo's ex-girlfriend. Stella Shen. Before I could finish, Leo swooped in like a mother hen protecting her chick. He rested a hand on the back of my chair and said tauntingly, "My wife is pregnant, Chloe. You should keep your distance. Don't want you bumping into her." His ex was immediately triggered. Her red lips opened and closed, firing on all cylinders. "Leo, you scumbag. You prey on younger girls and trick them. Does she even know what kind of person you are?" Leo tugged at his tie and stood up. "And what kind of person is that? You're a player. You give the silent treatment, you disappear when things get tough, you can't make up your mind." Sparks were flying. I was feeling a little awkward. Suddenly, the door opened and a waiter came in. The two of them still had some pride, so they called a truce. Just as I breathed a sigh of relief, another person walked in behind the waiter. He was dressed in a black suit that accentuated his tall, slender figure. He had sharp, handsome features and a refined air. A pair of gold-rimmed glasses sat on his high nose bridge, making the eyes behind the lenses seem even deeper. Our eyes met, and he slowly said my name. Stella Shen. The moment I saw his face, I froze on the spot. Chloe gracefully took the man's arm. "Honey, you're here," she said affectionately. She glanced at me. "Wait, do you two know each other?" He spoke calmly. She was a couple of years behind me in high school. Chloe nodded and sat down with him. "Let me introduce you. This is my ex-boyfriend, Leo, and his wife, your old schoolmate." Then she turned to Leo with a hint of pride. "And this is my boyfriend, Sam Song." That one simple sentence hit Leo and me like a lightning bolt. Sam Song. The guy I'd had a crush on for 10 years but never had the guts to confess to. I hadn't seen him in years, and I'd imagined our reunion in so many different ways. I never, ever thought it would be with me sitting across from him, pretending to be someone else's pregnant wife. While he was across from me, showing off his new girlfriend. Okay, the universe had really piled it on. My heart ached with a bitter sorrow. I felt myself sinking into a fog of disappointment, my mood plummeting. Leo probably hadn't expected his ex to have a real boyfriend, let alone one who was so strikingly handsome. He looked as deflated as a popped balloon. Ever since Sam had shown up, he'd been completely crushed. We were two peas in a very miserable pod. Chloe, on the other hand, saw Leo's miserable face and felt she'd won the battle. She was in a great mood. She smiled, took the menu, and quickly ordered a bunch of dishes. She was even very considerate. I ordered a special nourishing soup for you. It's good for pregnant women. I forced a smile and thanked her. Pregnant? Sam's hand, holding his teacup, paused. He looked at me with a questioning gaze. Yeah, Leo said his wife is pregnant. She's not showing much yet, though, Chloe explained helpfully. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would have doubted if this woman was the same she-devil Leo had described. She was being incredibly sweet and thoughtful. Just as I was thinking this, Chloe turned and shot Leo a look. Your wife is so young, and you've already gotten her pregnant. If you have any conscience, you'll stop fooling around with other women. Leo, who had been sulking, instantly flared up again. Chloe, what are you talking about? When have I ever fooled around? Chloe lifted her chin. What about your all-star assistant, Joanne? And your so-called good friend, Stella? I've told you a million times, Joanne is just my subordinate. Leo stood up, his face ashen. Just as a huge fight was about to erupt. That's enough, Sam interrupted, placing his teacup down firmly on the table. You're both old enough to know better. If you have a problem, solve it like adults. Stop dragging innocent people into your mess. He turned to me. You're not pregnant, and you're not his wife. I was dumbfounded. Under Chloe's incredulous gaze, I slowly nodded. I think I'm that good friend Stella you were talking about. Chloe's tough exterior instantly deflated like a punctured balloon. A hurt expression spread across her beautiful face. She stood up and ran out of the room. Leo glanced at me and Sam, then hurried after her without another word. In an instant, the huge private room was empty except for the two of us. Total silence. I was mortified, bowing my head under my crush's gaze. After a while, I finally remembered the important question. Sam, I asked hesitantly, how did you know we were faking it? My crush's expression was neutral. I ran into Ms. Lin at the hospital last week, he said calmly. She was complaining that her daughter was still single and she wanted to set her up on a date. I let out a groan and covered my face. Ms. Lin is my mom. A high school English teacher who wouldn't let me date in school but now nags me for not dating after graduation. So, did you go on the date? I shook my head, even more embarrassed. Thankfully, a kind waiter came in with a cart of food, saving me. Sam used the serving chopsticks to put some food on my plate. Try their signature crab tranche. It has black vinegar, so it's not fishy. I took a bite. The sweet and sour vinegar blended perfectly with the fresh crab meat, filling my mouth with flavor. This is delicious, I praised sincerely. My crush smiled. It was like a spring breeze, and I just stared at him, mesmerized. Maybe he was moved by my gaze. He went on to recommend the restaurant's crispy sea cucumber and fig glazed steak, which were also amazing. As we talked about food, the awkwardness gradually disappeared, and I felt more relaxed. Except for the small bulge quietly forming in my stomach. Oops. I'd accidentally eaten too much. Are you full? My crush asked, seeing me put down my chopsticks and wipe my mouth. I nodded enthusiastically. I wasn't just full, I was stuffed. He was just too good looking. I couldn't help but feast on the view. So, shall we talk business? I was stunned. My crush and I had no regular contact. What business could we possibly have? He took off his glasses and wiped the lenses with a tissue. He hesitated for a moment, choosing his words carefully. You're a pretty good actress when it comes to playing a girlfriend. I was wondering if you could do a scene with me. The audience would just be my parents. His hands were slender and elegant, moving with a graceful ease. He was like a work of art. I was quietly admiring him. But when I heard what he said next, I almost spit out the tea in my mouth. I managed to hold it in, but I still ended up coughing uncontrollably. My crush handed me a tissue and gently patted my shoulder. I could feel my face getting hotter by the second. Whatever your cousin paid you, I'll double it, he said casually and directly. And then, lost in his gentle eyes and voice, I shamelessly swallowed. I completely forgot how to say no. 2 steak dinners. Deal. On the way back, sitting in my crush's car, I spent the whole ride kicking myself. I couldn't believe I'd let a handsome face completely cloud my judgment. A simple smile and a raised eyebrow from him, and I'd surrendered without a fight. What are you thinking about? His gentle voice asked. I looked at him and answered honestly. I'm wondering why you asked me to pretend to be your girlfriend. Obviously, because I don't have one. The corner of his mouth curved into a slight smile. It was so handsome it almost made me faint. Then why me? After finally regaining my senses, I was still a little confused. From what I knew, he wasn't lacking for admirers. Why would he need someone as ordinary as me to play his girlfriend? He turned to look at me, his eyes gentle. Because you're cute. My crush called me cute. Fireworks exploded in my heart, popping and crackling. The rest of the drive felt like I was floating on air. When he dropped me off and added me on WhatsApp, I was still in a daze. Back home after a shower. Even after blow-drying my hair, I felt like I was in a dream. Just as I flopped onto my bed, I got a message from him. I'll pick you up tomorrow at 10 a.m. Good night. I blushed and replied, good night. I was so excited I rolled around in my covers for a few minutes. My heart felt like it was going to burst, and I couldn't stop smiling. The next day was Saturday, and I woke up early. I dug out the makeup I'd bought but never opened. I tried on several different dresses. My heart was fluttering with nerves as I spent forever getting ready. At 10 o'clock sharp, my crush's car appeared downstairs. I politely got in and greeted him, good morning. He smiled and nodded, then handed me breakfast. After a bite of my burger, I realized I hadn't put on my seatbelt. I was just about to reach for it, when he suddenly leaned toward me. I froze. His face was suddenly so close to mine. A cool, woody scent from him enveloped me. I held my breath, completely tense. I watched as his hand reached over, toward the seatbelt next to my waist. Oh my God. All I could notice was how the thin white shirt clung to the smooth, strong lines of his waist. It made my mouth go dry, and I couldn't keep my eyes steady. Are you okay? He finally buckled it, then pulled back and sat up straight. Why is your face so red? Duh. How could I not blush when you lean in that close? I looked down and took a sip of my soy milk. The milk is a little hot, I mumbled. Then drink it slowly. I'll turn down the AC. Okay. As the car pulled into a residential community, I finally remembered something important. Sam, I forgot to buy a gift and some fruit. Showing up empty-handed to a girlfriend's first visit is so rude. Even if it's a fake one. He glanced at me, his tone relaxed. I already bought everything. It's in the trunk. If I'm asking you for a favor, I can't let you pay for it, too. When we got to the door, I suddenly got cold feet. I tried to recall the habits he'd told me about so I wouldn't blow my cover. Loves spicy food, dislikes sweets, enjoys cooking, hates doing dishes. The door suddenly opened, revealing a kind-faced woman. Stella, you're here. Come on in. Oh, hi, Mrs. Song. I thought today's performance would have at least a few bumps. After all, we barely knew each other. But it went surprisingly smoothly, as if I really were his girlfriend. Sam's parents were warm and friendly, full of smiles and laughter. Sam was also incredibly thoughtful. All the dishes on the table were my favorites. And the dishes afterward were washed by the guy who hated washing dishes. Sam's mom dug through old photo albums to show me pictures of him wearing dresses as a kid. Sam's dad gave me a piece of his own calligraphy as a gift. Stella, this is just a little something from me. Come over and visit whenever you have time. As I was leaving, Sam's mom stuffed a red envelope into my bag. I was about to refuse, but I saw Sam giving me a look. Okay, I guess I'll take it. Thank you, Mrs. Song. Sam was driving me home, but he pulled over by the riverfront. It was dusk, and the night wasn't fully dark yet. The river churned below. In the distance, the city lights twinkled like a blurry dream. It felt very lively and festive. After watching the river for a bit, I remembered the heavy red envelope, pulled it out, and handed it to him. He didn't take it. My mom gave it to you, he said meaningfully. You should keep it. I got anxious. But she gave it to your girlfriend, and I'm not your girlfriend. So you could accept it if you were my girlfriend? He raised an eyebrow, a smile playing on his lips as he asked me back. I nodded. Then I felt like something wasn't quite right. Okay, then be my girlfriend. He lowered his gaze to look at me, his eyes as bright as the distant stars. Did I hear that right? I was confused, but a small flicker of hope ignited within me. Sam, what do you mean? I don't understand. He suddenly laughed, then turned serious. I'm asking if you're willing to try dating me. To be my girlfriend. I don't have any bad habits, and you know my family situation. I blinked. I felt like my brain had just crashed. Sam, is this a confession? I must be dreaming. The night wind blew past, and I couldn't help but sneeze. My crush took off his jacket and draped it over my shoulders. The corner of his mouth lifted, and his deep, magnetic voice held a hint of a smile. It is. You were going to go on dates anyway, so why not consider me? My heart skipped a beat. My breathing became rapid, but I didn't dare to exhale too loudly. I just stared at him, dumbfounded. The light fell on his face. I looked up at him, and he looked down at me. In that moment, it felt like my entire youth was exploding in a fireworks display. After a long moment, my crush reached out, adjusted the jacket on my shoulders, and said in a low voice. Can you? Give me a chance, The last word was drawn out with a faint, lazy tone. The upward lilt of was like a kitten's tail, softly tickling my heart. I was completely mesmerized. Before my brain could even process a thought, I couldn't help but nod. Back home, I lay in bed, trying to fall asleep, but I was too wired. I couldn't resist getting up. I texted my crush, complaining, Sam, you totally used your good looks to trick me. He replied instantly. You're right. My bad. I'll do it again next time. Humans are incredibly adaptable. Take me, for example. I quickly got used to my new identity as my crush's girlfriend. Of course, it might have been because my boyfriend checked in with me every single day. I had no choice but to adapt. Like this morning, he picked me up for breakfast after his night shift. After we ate, he drove me to the school gate. Just as I was about to get out, he turned his head and said mournfully, My schedule is packed with surgeries for the next 2 days. I probably won't see you until the day after tomorrow. I understood. I nodded and smiled back. That's okay. Work is important. And? I pursed my lips, thinking for a moment, and tried to soothe him. And you should get some rest. Take care of yourself. Silence. I looked up. He had taken off his glasses at some point and was staring straight at me. His eyes were so dark and bright, they were devastatingly beautiful. He sighed, his voice low. You're not going to miss me at all? He sounded almost pitiful. In a flash of inspiration. He was acting like a little puppy begging for attention. Of course I'll miss you, but I have to let you go to work, even if I don't want to. The syrupy sweet voice that came out of my mouth surprised even me. But it clearly worked on my crush. He heard it, the corners of his eyes lifted into a smile, and he looked ridiculously handsome. On a whim, I turned and planted a firm kiss on his cheek. Then, without waiting for his reaction, I quickly got out of the car and ran. All the way to my office, I could feel my face burning. I felt a little regretful, worried he might think I was too forward. "Stella, you're glowing today. You look so happy. I bet you're in love." As I reached the door, two of my colleagues started teasing me. I gave a nervous laugh, then decided it was better to just admit it with a nod. "Is it that guy who picked you up the other day? I only saw his profile, but he's definitely a hottie." I couldn't be coy anymore. I nodded. "He's okay, I guess. I'll introduce you guys sometime." After lunch, I took the little kids for a walk on the playground. The sun was just right, and if you closed your eyes, you could smell autumn in the air. Usually, we'd wander around for about 10 minutes before heading back for a nap. The group of little toddlers chattered away, scattering across the playground. Their little voices chirped and giggled. They were so adorable. I had just finished retying a little girl's loose pigtail. I looked up and saw 3 kids hiding from the sun under the outer wall of the playground. A makeshift canopy from the construction site next door was swaying precariously above their heads. It looked like it could fall at any second. Oh no. I sprinted over, grabbed the kids, and shielded their heads with my body. The next second, the canopy panel fell. It slammed down hard on my right shoulder blade. It hurt so much. Before I could think any further, I lost consciousness. I groggily opened my eyes, and the first thing I saw was my crush's handsome, worried face. Sam, I had just started to call his name. A sharp pain shot through my shoulder, and I let out a grunt. "Stella, don't move. Just bear with it for a moment. They've already treated the wound." My crush held my hand. His palm was warm as he comforted me in a soft voice. "It's nothing major, but it's going to hurt for a few days." I wanted to nod, but the movement pulled at the wound. The pain made me hiss, and I quickly gave up on the idea. "What about the kids? Did any of them get hit?" He stroked my head. "They're all fine, just scared and crying. You're the only one who got hurt." There was a hint of sadness in his voice. But I felt completely relieved. As long as the kids were okay, that's all that mattered. "Are you thirsty?" Sam asked with a small smile, probably noticing me eyeing the cup on the table. He poured a glass of water, helped me sit up, and held me against his chest, carefully avoiding my right shoulder, to help me drink. As I drank, I snuck glances at him from the corner of my eye. I could feel my face heating up again. "Stella, you're finally awake. Does it still hurt?" As I was lost in thought, my mom's voice suddenly rang out. I hadn't swallowed the water in my mouth yet and started choking. I burst into a fit of violent coughing. As she spoke, my mom had already come closer. And there I was, leaning against my crush's chest, our eyes meeting. For a moment, I wanted to cry. This is so embarrassing. My crush took the cup away and patted my back. "I already talked to Ms. Lin," he reassured me. My mom winked at me. "You didn't even tell me you had a boyfriend. When you're better, bring Sam over to the house for a visit." My crush chimed in playfully. "Now that I'm officially recognized, you have to take responsibility for me." I was stunned. I wake up from a nap. And my crush has already won over my mom. Students really are on another level. I stayed in the hospital for 3 or 4 days, and a steady stream of people came to visit me. The director and the principal said my selfless act was very admirable. They gave me paid sick leave, plus an extra 2 weeks off to recover. The parents of those kids also came to express their gratitude. Seeing them unharmed and full of energy warmed my heart. After becoming a teacher, I really couldn't bear to see these little ones get hurt. On Sam's day off, he made me a bone broth soup. I was slowly sipping it with a spoon. When I saw my unreliable cousin, Leo, walk in, holding hands with Chloe. "How's it going, modern-day hero Stella Shen?" Leo teased as he sat down. Still as punchable as ever. I glared at him. Then I smiled at Chloe and thanked her for the fruit and flowers she brought. Sam came back after washing some grapes. You two made up. Chloe smiled shyly. Leo grinned from ear to ear. He took her hand, overjoyed. We have you two to thank for it. We'll have you two be our best man and maid of honor at the wedding. Lying in the hospital for so long was incredibly boring. I felt like my bones were rusting. I finally made it to my discharge day. My mom was already planning to make me take a walk downstairs every day when I got home. But then, an elderly great-uncle back in our hometown suddenly passed away, and my mom and dad had to rush back overnight. Before leaving, they entrusted me to my crush. His place was a 2-bedroom apartment not far from the hospital. He said he bought it to cut down on commute time, making it easier when he got called in for emergencies in the middle of the night. Being a doctor is so hard. You guys are amazing, I said sincerely. He gently rubbed my earlobe. So when I'm too busy to be with you sometimes, don't be mad at me. Of course. I nodded vigorously. I'm not that unreasonable. I took a good look around his apartment. It was very fitting for a doctor, extremely minimalist. Only the dining table and coffee table in the living room were piled with books. Your sheets are pink, I said, a little surprised when I went into the bedroom. He adjusted his glasses, a smile on his lips. That's for you. You can stay in the master bedroom. It has an attached bathroom, which is more convenient. There were also new toiletries, towels, and slippers, all in cute shades of pink. So thoughtful. My heart was bubbling with happiness. I felt myself falling for him even more. My first day staying at his place was full of happy surprises. But that bliss only lasted through the daytime. When it was time to shower that night, I went into the bathroom and froze. I had forgotten my right shoulder was still bandaged. I couldn't lift my arm at all. At the hospital, my mom had helped me wash my back and hair. She must have forgotten in her rush. Steeling myself, I grunted and struggled in the bathroom for a long time. Showering was manageable, a quick rinse and a towel off, and that was that. I managed to put on my pajamas with sheer force of will. Perseverance in the face of disability, that's me. The real challenge was washing my hair. My long, flowing hair, which I was usually proud of, now felt like torture. And of course, I'm right-handed. Washing my hair with my left hand was basically impossible. Sam, I need you. In the end, I had to ask for help. My face was burning, and my voice was weak. Can you help me wash my hair? Asking a boyfriend I wasn't even that familiar with yet to wash my hair. It was so embarrassing. My crush froze for a second, then smiled knowingly. I'm sorry, that was my mistake. I forgot your right arm is still out of commission. I have to say, having a doctor boyfriend wash your hair is so relaxing. He even gave me a scalp massage, A+ service. I lay there enjoying it, almost falling asleep. It would have been even better if he hadn't asked me such suggestive questions. This pressure point helps you relax. Feel good? Yes. After washing my hair, he calmly took out the blow dryer to dry it for me. Let me know if it gets too hot, he said, though his hand was steady. But I caught a glimpse of his bright red ears out of the corner of my eye. He even remembered to apply hair oil for me. I saw your mom do it this way last time. I'm doing it right, aren't I? Your after-sales service is top-notch. I nodded, my eyes fixed on him. I felt my heart skip a beat. A man focused on his work is handsome. A man focused on blow-drying his girlfriend's hair is even handsomer. After the ordeal of hair washing was over, I felt refreshed and let out a long sigh of relief. I didn't forget to lean in and flatter him. Thank you, my amazing boyfriend. You're the best. My mom's rule for managing men, the more you praise them, the harder they work. He suddenly pulled me closer and gave me a quick kiss on the lips. When you look at me like that, I can't help it. I just want to kiss you. He whispered it in my ear, then pressed his lips against mine again. I hadn't even processed it. His tongue slipped past my lips. He pulled me onto his lap, holding me in a tight embrace. One hand supported the back of my head, preventing me from pulling away. His tongue explored almost every corner of my mouth. For a moment, all I could breathe was his hot, feverish breath. The familiar woody scent completely surrounded me. My heart pounded like a drum, and my whole body trembled. But I slowly began to melt into his kiss. I couldn't help but respond. He paused for a moment, then his kisses grew even more passionate. After a long while, he held me and whispered, "I've wanted to do this for a long time." That night by the river, your eyes were so dark and bright. And your lips looked so kissable. My face felt like it was on fire. I balled up my fist and gave him a light push. "How could you say that? Don't say any more." He tucked my hair behind my ear, his gesture intimate. "They are very kissable. And very sweet." I was so shy I felt like I was going to explode. I never would have imagined it. The cool, distant guy I'd crushed on for 10 years would one day be holding me and saying things like this. But I liked this version of him even more. A couple of days later, my mom and dad finally finished their business. They came to pick up their wandering daughter and bring me home. They also brought their son-in-law along for a casual dinner. Both of my parents are high school teachers. My mom is an enthusiastic English teacher. My dad, Mr. Shen, is a serious, no-nonsense physics teacher. Both of them had been Sam's teachers in the past. With the double whammy of teacher plus in-laws, I was a little nervous for him. But I was overthinking it. Not only did my mom adore him, but even my stoic dad was very pleased. It was as if he wasn't the same person who used to tell me, "I have to approve of anyone you date." It was a simple, delicious home-cooked meal. Amid the laughter and conversation, Sam easily won my parents' approval. My life became more vibrant, and even the air felt sweeter. After I recovered and went back to work at the school. Because my crush was showing up so often to see me. Even the kids in my class knew I was dating someone. "Miss Stella, I saw your boyfriend this morning. He's so handsome." "My uncle is really handsome too, Miss Stella. I want you to be my aunt." The autumn sun was warm and pleasant. One day, after lunch, the kids were gathered around me on the playground, all chattering away. They ended up arguing about whose aunt I should be. Suddenly, one of the girls ran up to me, tugged on my sleeve, and said urgently, "Miss Stella, Coco's tummy hurts. You have to come see." I squeezed through the crowd. Coco's little face was pale, and she was crouched on the ground, clutching her stomach. "Teacher, it hurts so much," she said weakly. "I feel like I'm going to, ugh." As she spoke, she started to vomit. The little sprouts around her immediately started to panic. Did Coco get poisoned? But we ate the same lunch as her. Wah, I think my tummy hurts too. The kids' panic was contagious, and the noise level rose. I quickly tried to calm them. "Shh, sweethearts, let's all be quiet, okay?" I immediately called for an ambulance and notified the dean, Ms. Lee. The other classroom aides rushed over and took the children back inside. The dean and I went with Coco to the hospital. Luckily, the children's hospital was very close to our school. Soon, the doctor gave a diagnosis. Food poisoning. The dean and I exchanged a look. The school's food is prepared and served uniformly. But so far, only Coco had shown symptoms. The dean was more experienced. After a moment of thought, she said, "I'll have our assistant check if any of the other children are feeling unwell. When Coco's parents get here, we can ask if she ate anything else today." 204, yes, this room on the left. "Where's Coco? How's my granddaughter?" A group of people rushed in. Leading them was a formidable-looking elderly woman with white hair. I looked closer and saw Coco's parents following right behind her. "Miss Stella, Dean Lee, what happened to our Coco?" Coco's mother sounded frantic, her forehead beaded with sweat. "The doctor said it was food poisoning." I slap. Before I could finish, the old woman strode forward. Without any warning, she slapped me across the face. The slap was so hard it stunned me. It took a few seconds. Then the pain hit, a stinging heat spreading across my cheek. It hurt so much that tears instantly sprang to my eyes. Stella. My crush suddenly appeared. He rushed forward, grabbed the old woman's arm, and forcefully pushed her away. Then he pulled me into his arms and cupped my face to examine it. His face was grim, his lips pressed into a thin line. I had been trying my best to hold back the tears. But seeing his concern, I felt a wave of injustice wash over me. I blinked a few times, trying to stop them. But I finally broke down and started to sob quietly. The old woman's sudden attack had happened in a matter of seconds. Everyone in the room was stunned. The dean was the first to react, her expression cold. Coco's family, if you have something to say it calmly. What is the meaning of this? The old woman's face was full of rage, and she started yelling. I pay you to take care of my grandchild, and you let her get sick. Our Coco is lying in a hospital bed. What's wrong with slapping her? Her shrill voice echoed through the room, grating on everyone's nerves. A doctor nearby couldn't take it anymore and interrupted with a frown. This is a hospital. What's all this shouting about? He then turned to the dean and Coco's mother. Think about everything the child ate today. The dean, still looking angry, thought for a moment and spoke first. We don't allow outside food in our daycare. Our assistant just said that Coco only ate half her usual amount at lunch. She paused and looked at Coco's mother. She said she ate too much for breakfast at home and wasn't hungry. Coco's mother looked confused. Coco only had one egg this morning and a few bites of corn. She ate even less than usual. She closed her eyes to think, then said firmly. That's right. Then I dropped her off at school. We didn't go anywhere else. Both sides had their stories, and it was hard to reconcile them. The doctor had other patients. He asked us all to step outside and try to sort it out ourselves. But who would have thought, the old woman went out into the hospital corridor, lay down on the floor, and started wailing. XX daycare is harming children. They gave my granddaughter food poisoning. It looked like the old woman was about to have another fit. Other patients and their families started to stare. The dean snorted in frustration but was helpless against her unreasonable behavior. My crush's expression was cold, his jawline tight. He was losing his patience. Let's just call the police. And that's how, for the first time in my life, I ended up at a police station. All because a child in my class got food poisoning. Thankfully, the police were very kind and quickly opened a case. The dean went back to the school to report the incident and told me to go home and rest. My crush took me back to his place. He quickly found an egg, boiled it, and was about to use it to reduce the swelling on my face. His slender fingers peeled the shell with a nimble grace that was beautiful to watch. When he pressed the egg to my cheek, it was still a little hot. I couldn't help but hiss. It's a bit hot at first, but bear with it. It will help the swelling go down faster. He took one of my hands and squeezed it gently to comfort me. My focus, however, was elsewhere. Can I still eat the egg after? My crush couldn't help but laugh, and the icy aura that had surrounded him since he arrived finally dissipated. How can you be so cute? He pulled his hand back and slowly stroked my hair. Stella, I was so angry just now. If she hadn't been an old woman. I really wanted to hit her. I never thought the cool, rational man I knew had such a childish side. A wave of sweetness washed over me. I threw myself into his arms and buried my face in his shoulder. It's okay. We don't need to stoop to her level. The police were incredibly efficient and quickly uncovered the truth. That evening, the dean called to tell me they had reviewed the security footage from the convenience store across the street from the school. They saw Coco's grandmother come to see her during the morning's long recess. She was carrying a food container. After some questioning, the full story came out. Coco's mom was going to throw out some meat that had been in the freezer for a long time. The grandmother couldn't bear to waste it, so she secretly cooked it into a braised pork dish. Thinking Coco would love it, she brought it to her, but it ended up giving the child food poisoning. Later, Coco, who had woken up in the hospital, also confirmed it. Her grandmother had told her the night before that she would bring her a treat and that she should eat less for breakfast. She said it was their little secret and not to tell her mom. In the end, the police gave Coco's grandmother a stern talking to. Then the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law had a huge fight at the hospital. "It's that poor kid, Coco, who suffered for nothing," the dean sighed. "And your arm just healed and now you get hit." I stuck out my tongue. "It's just work. What's a job without a few surprises?" Ultimately, the school stepped in and covered part of Coco's medical expenses. Fortunately, Coco wasn't seriously ill and recovered in a few days. The matter was resolved as well as it could be. As for the drama in Coco's family, there was nothing an outsider could do. But seeing Coco back to her cheerful, energetic self later on made me feel a lot better. Ever since I started dating my doctor boyfriend, my mom had been deliberately teaching me how to cook. In her words, a relationship is a two-way street. You both have to contribute. This Saturday, my crush had to work overtime. I stayed home and experimented with making his favorite dishes, a savory beef soup and a simple stir-fried pork. I brought it to the hospital, but he was in the middle of surgery. I waited in his office, getting antsy. I decided to take a slow walk down the stairs to stretch my legs. Just a few flights down, I heard nurses talking in the stairwell. Dr. Song is really winning at life. He's so young and successful, and the hospital director's daughter is into him. I heard the director's daughter was his high school classmate. They were dating but their parents broke them up. But I heard Dr. Song has a girlfriend, the one who was hospitalized here before. A girlfriend can't compare to a first love, especially since Dr. Song works with the director's daughter every day. Sigh, childhood friends versus the new girl, this world is just one big novel. I swear I didn't mean to eavesdrop. It's just, when I heard words like Dr. Song and first love, I instinctively froze on the spot. I didn't stay to hear the rest. My heart just felt heavy. I wandered aimlessly, my steps slow. Before I knew it, I was standing in front of the medical technology building. Two people were walking down the stairs toward me. It was my crush and a tall, slender female doctor. Their heights were perfectly matched, and they walked in sync. They were talking about something, completely engrossed, looking like a perfect pair. I hated that I was wearing contacts, because I could see them with perfect clarity. She had delicate features and a long neck. It was her, the legendary high school sweetheart. I had seen that perfect campus beauty from afar back in the day. In an instant, the same feeling of being an ugly duckling I felt in high school washed over me. It wrapped around me, layer by layer. I couldn't even bring myself to walk toward them. I quickly turned around and fled. The sky turned overcast, and soon raindrops began to fall. A steady drizzle. My heart gradually felt like it was soaking in the rain. Foggy and damp. When I finally came to my senses, I was standing downstairs from my crush's apartment. I had been here quite a few times. Although I hadn't stayed over again, he had given me a key. I fumbled for the key and let myself in. I saw my Lena Bell and Stella Lou dolls on the sofa. On his desk, tucked between his medical textbooks, was a mystery novel I liked to read. There was even a photo of the two of us hanging on the wall. My crush's home now had traces of me, little by little. I sank onto the sofa and thought about so many things. I thought about him in high school, always at the top of the academic rankings. The way girls would scream for him when he played basketball. The confident way he spoke at the school anniversary celebration. In my youth, he was as dazzling as the sun. And I was just a sunflower in a forgotten corner, silently following his light. I remembered the rumors about him back then. How he was called into the principal's office with his parents because he was dating the campus beauty. Later, he continued his studies, while she went abroad. Their romance ended without a resolution, and my own crush remained a bitter, unspoken secret. It made me so insecure that I could never find the courage to confess. After all these years, things had come full circle. I thought I was finally going to be his leading lady. But then his unforgettable first love suddenly returned, and I had a stark realization. In the end, I was just a self-conscious girl with a secret crush. I couldn't compare to his first love, his one that got away. My head was about to explode from overthinking. My heart ached with a sour bitterness, and tears were welling up. A love built over hundreds of days, shattered by one cold front. The deepest love is just a stack of paper. My phone rang, its sound piercing the quiet room. I slowly pulled it out and answered. "Stella, come have a drink with me." Mia's tearful voice came through the phone. Mia is my best friend. Ever since she started dating a guy she was crazy about, she hadn't been as clingy. The last time I saw her was when she visited me in the hospital. "Mia, where are you? What happened?" "We broke up." Her voice was tragic and broken. "That jerk Chris cheated on me." My heart sank. I remembered how happy Mia had been the last time, saying they were already talking about marriage. That they would be getting married soon. I rushed to the bar where she was. Her eyes were red and swollen, her makeup was a mess, and she looked absolutely miserable. "Stella, have a couple of drinks with me." I sat down and listened to her cry about her cheating ex. Chris and I were only together for a year. And he's been with that other girl for 5 months. Her crying grew louder. Luckily, the bar was lively, and no one paid us any mind. I knew that comforting words were useless right now. All she needed was for me to listen. But as I listened, I started thinking about my crush. Suddenly, I felt a wave of sadness. Love really is such a headache. Sigh. We were both in the same boat. I raised my glass and took a sip. I was supposed to be the one comforting her, but in the end, I was the one who ended up passed out on the table. In a daze. I heard Mia answer a call on my phone. Then some guy came over to hit on us and just wouldn't leave. He kept bothering me while I was trying to sleep, buzzing in my ear like a fly. I got annoyed. I sat up and shouted, "Wait until I break up with my boyfriend, then I'll call you." But when I turned my head, I saw my crush, who had suddenly appeared. The shock sobered me up instantly. I lost my grip on my drink, and it spilled all over me. My crush's face was dark, and an icy chill radiated from him. He said a quick hello to Mia, then dragged me home. When we got to his building, he strode ahead. I was drunk and unsteady on my feet and couldn't keep up. He walked a few steps, realized I was far behind. Then he turned back, bent down, and swept me up into his arms. A Princess Carrie. I thought vaguely. At his apartment, my crush found a clean t-shirt for me to change into. I realized the spilled drink had made my clothes sticky. I started whining that I wanted to take a shower before changing. He looked furious, but he still got my pajamas and put them in the bathroom for me. After I finished my shower, I wrapped myself in a towel and opened the door. I had just stepped 1 foot out. When I realized my crush was still in the bedroom, I screamed and was about to retreat back into the bathroom. But the slippers were wet, and in my panic, I slipped. I fell straight backward, terrified. Thankfully, he caught me by the waist and pulled me into his arms. I was so scared I threw my arms around him and held on tight. He simply picked me up and placed me on the bed. He glanced at me once, then quickly looked away. A suspicious hint of red appeared on his ears. I looked down and realized that in my haste, the towel had come undone, revealing everything. "I was worried because you were drunk, so I was waiting in the bedroom," he said awkwardly, turning away. "You can get changed. I'll go out. Call me if you need anything." But I was still lost in my own emotions. He had seen me completely naked and had zero reaction. That's not how male leads in novels act toward the person they love. My emotions got the better of me. I grabbed his hand and said pitifully, "Sam, you really don't love me." I couldn't hold it in anymore and burst into tears. It felt like all my suppressed emotions were pouring out. Sadness completely overwhelmed me. My crush fumbled, bending down. First, he pulled the covers over me. That just made me cry even harder. "Stella, of course I love you." Sob. I was sobbing so hard I couldn't hear what he was saying. I just kept crying and muttering, "Your first love is back. Are you going to break up with me?" He let out a breath, then suddenly leaned down and covered my mouth with his. Our breaths mingled, our noses touching. My crying instantly stopped. With tears in my eyes, I looked at him blurrily. His scent washed over me. He paused, then tilted my chin and kissed me harder. I clutched the collar of his shirt, struggling weakly. But he just gripped my wrists, holding me tightly. I suddenly felt a little panicked. I wiped my tears and opened my eyes wide to look at him. But all I saw was the burning desire in his eyes. He lifted his head and whispered in my ear, "Stella, you're the one I love. I don't have some unforgettable first love. You are my first love. You're the only girlfriend I've ever had." I was dazed. I think I understood, but maybe I didn't. All I could feel was his scorching heat. A dense, tingling sensation that drowned me. He rolled over, pressing down on me. I could hear my own heart pounding. When I woke up in the morning, I stared at his abs, completely dumbfounded. My memory was a bit fuzzy. I tried to think, but my head was throbbing. He moved closer to me, a teasing look on his face. "I hear you're planning to break up with me and find someone new right away." I quickly shook my head. Wait, I realized, why should I be the one feeling guilty? I pointed a finger at him accusingly. "It's because your first love came back." He caught my hand, stroking my fingers as he spoke slowly. "First, her name is Willow. Second, she's not my first love or the one that got away. We were just high school classmates and now colleagues. Third, her high school boyfriend was someone else." A perfectly logical three-point explanation. I was completely stunned. He took my arm and pulled me into his embrace. His warm breath fanned across my face as he whispered, "You've had a crush on me for this long and you still got your intel wrong?" I shot up from his embrace, stammering, How did you know I had a crush on you?" Toward the end, my confidence faltered, and my voice became a mumble. He looked up at me, his eyes dark. "The blind date your mom set you up on was with me. She showed me pictures from your social media feed." He chuckled. "When I went back and looked closely, I realized a lot of your posts were about me." I was both angry and mortified. My mom really was something else. The moment she found an excellent, single former student, she immediately thought of setting me up. No wonder she was so pleased with him. She had picked out her own son-in-law. "So you knew I had a crush on you this whole time? You were playing me." I felt so wronged and embarrassed. He leaned in to kiss my cheek and said gently, "I took you to meet my parents on our second date. Isn't my sincerity obvious? So, am I really your first love?" 100%. This old single guy was just waiting for you to save him. I snuggled back into his arms, feeling giddy. "Fine. For the sake of your 8-pack abs, I forgive you." I gave them a little pat. They felt pretty good. He leaned over me. "Then explain what you were saying at the bar last night." I made the first move, lunging forward to kiss him. I was wrong. Afterward, worried I might still be hung up on the first love thing. He specially arranged for us to have dinner with the legendary unforgettable first love. Only then did I realize that while they were childhood friends, they also couldn't stand each other. As for the male lead in the high school romance incident, he was now Willow's husband. And he was sitting at the dinner table diligently peeling shrimp for his wife. Information in high school gets so jumbled. It was all a big misunderstanding. And because of it, I hadn't dared to confess my feelings for all these years. In the end, I got so hurt I drank myself silly and made a fool of myself. I was the only one who had suffered in this whole saga. But it was worth it. After that little storm, my crush and I were sweeter than ever. I occasionally stayed over at his place, and my mom didn't say a word. I figure, for the sake of your marital happiness, you should test drive the car. I almost fainted. Was this really my strict mother? The same mother who used to demand I be home by 9 p.m.? Her open-mindedness was completely alien to me. Another hot summer arrived. I was about to say goodbye to a group of my little toddlers who were growing up. As the weather got hotter, I found myself getting unusually sleepy. Until one day, a colleague asked to borrow a pad. I was shocked to realize I hadn't had my period in 2 months. I took a test, and sure enough, I was pregnant. Since we had already had an engagement party, our families had already discussed wedding plans. The sudden good news thrilled both our mothers. With perfect synchronicity, they quickly finalized the wedding preparations. They held the wedding for us during the summer break. My cousin, Leo, was the best man, and he said sourly, "You guys play dirty. You beat us to the punch." Chloe caught my bouquet. The MC teased her, "After the bridesmaid dress comes the wedding dress." She and Leo exchanged a look, and she blushed. But she held on to the bouquet tightly. Mia also brought her new boyfriend to the reception, her eyes shining with happiness. I looked at the man beside me. After a 10-year crush, my dream had finally come true. I felt like I had the whole world. A few months after our baby was born, our house was filled with gifts and toys from friends and family. I decided to clear out the storage room and turn it into a playroom. Among a pile of my husband's medical books, a photo fell out. It was a picture of him in high school with another girl. I burst into tears. When he saw me, he looked completely helpless and pointed at the photo. "Look at the person on the bench behind us. Look familiar?" I looked closely. She did look familiar. It looked like me. This was a group photo from an interview for the school's radio station. "I only kept it because you were in it." He also said it was the only picture we had together before we reconnected. My tears turned to laughter. He wiped my tears away and leaned in for a kiss. "You like me that early? I've been planning this for a long time."